Hello, it's episode 5 time, featuring 2 teams that Liam thinks will be mid, Northampton, Swindon, Iron Brew. The season starts in like 2 days. I'm so excited I could shit. It's the lower league look. It's the lower league look. It's the lower league look. It's the lower league look.
Grant, do you want to clock us in?
No, it's not my job.
My hands are getting sore.
Fuck off.
That's the start of that. That's going to be the intro. And I look, boom, clap. Guys and people from Doncaster that really don't like me, welcome to this week's edition of the Lower League Look. Episode 5, pre-season, the final one before the big kickoff on Saturday. We'll see you on Saturday. Bye-bye. No, I'm joking. So we are joined tonight. We've got Ben. Everyone knows, I think, who Ben is because he's commented on every single 1 to 24 league prediction that Twitter has had. I even saw him commenting on the Spanish third division, asking where they put Swindon. He's everywhere. So yeah, Ben is Mr. Swindon, the most positive Swindon fan I've ever met in my life. And then we've got Charles. Charles is coming to us from it's All Cobblers To Me. That's the name of the podcast, isn't it?
It
All
is.
Cobblers To Me.
It is indeed.
Look, he's got
T-shirts, everything.
Oh,
We don't have T-shirts.
we've only just got a proper logo.
That's true. We'll get T-shirts this year.
We will get to, yeah, but buying ourselves.
Can't believe we hide behind a logo. God.
Yeah, oh yeah. So yeah, he's from the It's All Cobblers To Me podcast, Northampton podcast, which had a nice little chat before we started recording about an incident that happened between Bradford and Northampton in last season. So we don't have to talk about it on the podcast because it's not important. But guys, welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us, guys. Cheers.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
So
Really queued up being in it.
it's good, isn't it? I see. Right. So Ben, I'm going to come to you first because I've seen you getting quite angry this last couple of days on Twitter.
It's your mate. It's your mate.
Can you tell us a little bit about it? Why are you getting so angry, Ben?
Oh no, I'm not getting angry at all. There's some sign behind me because I've got Sarah, who's my partner, who's behind me. It's just like going, "You're a twat." But
My missus doing it all the time.
directly behind me. But yeah, no, it's just that. No, I was City Vent, who I was on his pod last year, of course it was, and yeah, no, we were just having a little bit of friendly banter to it. He's got his eyes on Swindon to get relegated this season. And yeah, and it's sort of like it pushed a little trigger on me. Going, you what?
I mean, it's usually me who gets triggered by prediction leagues.
Yeah, Grant's not a fan of prediction league. Grant hates prediction leagues, but
The worst thing in the world. But then no one ever gets them right. And then Adam puts this one out and puts Swindon 24th, and it just proves to me why the shit. Terrible.
I think there's quite a few Swindon fans that follow the City Event, and I think he's probably done it because he knew that he'd get a reaction. And to be fair, I knew that it was coming in a sense of I knew there was a wild prediction for Swindon. I didn't know it'd be there. But in fairness, Ben, it serves you right because I watched Fools Rush In the other night, which is the vlog podcast that Ben's a part of, and everyone in that group predicted Bradford to go up, except for Ben. Ben was arguing that we shouldn't be in that top 3.
I said 7th because I've got my reasons as well. I've got my reasons. There is a lot of pressure from your fan base put up there, and you go very toxic very, very quickly if things don't work out as where they should. And there's a lot of pressure on it, and there's a lot of signings, and some are good, some not so. So we'll see how it goes. If you don't start well or you go for a sticky patch, I don't think it's just going to be plain sailing. Because I hear a lot of fans saying top will only do. We only want top. Second or third is it's subsequential. We want top.
I think I agree. I think I said it to you about that, and I think what I kind of meant was if it comes to June next year, season's fully finished, playoffs, everything's done. If we're promoted, it won't matter.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, or at the time, if we don't win the league based on who we've brought in and the investments that we've made, it'll be a bit anticlimactic. If we get promoted, I'll be honest, next season I won't be sat there going, "Oh, we should still be leagued." Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
Ben,
really looking forward to?
Oh, go on.
Before we do that,
Ooh.
there's two sets of fans who are really doing the exact same, going, "Oh, only top will do," and it's both Bradford and Stockport. Both of them are blowing Billy Big Bollocks already. It's quite
to
funny
be fair, though,
because
there's
one of the sets of
Doncaster as
fans
well.
is going to go fucking. I mean, Doncaster aren't going to do well anyway, so I mean, there's no point in them getting wound up. But yeah, you're either going to see Stockport fans absolutely imploding, or the exact same with Bradford. One of the two of them are going to go mental, and I'm here for the ride.
See, I don't think Stockport fans will implode if they don't win the league. I genuinely don't. I think for me, if they get promoted, they'll be absolutely buzzing. There'll be no dramas on their side. I think if we are struggling, I mean, you saw it last season. We got to sort of November time and it started to turn and it got a little bit worse and it got a little bit worse and then it got really, really toxic to the point where you could feel the tension in the air. Like kickoff would happen, and if within 2 or 3 minutes the ground would be just practically silent. And if we went one behind, you were just like, "This is it. It's turning." Granted, we had a manager that were turning and looking at the fans, going, "Fuck off," pretty much. And that didn't help. But no. So Ben, talk us through the end of last season for you. We did do an end of season podcast, and we went into a little bit, but just a recap.
Yeah, playoffs are quite
What's
painful.
Port Vale like?
Port Vale, yeah, we haven't got a very good high. We haven't got much of a high opinion of Port Vale at the moment, and they don't have much of a high opinion of us either. Sum up the end of the season, we needed to win 4-5 on the bounce to make the playoffs, which we did. We were playing the best football we played all season, thrashing most teams, looking fantastic. We met Vale, who gone into the season playoffs in horrible form. I mean, they did win that final away game at Exeter, but apart from that, they were awful. And so I was like, well, we're flying. They're in really bad form. They've got players. Their main striker Proctor was injured going into the playoffs as well, and I was thinking, yeah, quite positive about this. And the first leg, we did all right without doing brilliant. Vale did their best to spoil the occasion by playing their sort of semi-anti-football and playing their, which is absolutely fine. It's how teams play when they're away from home. But they wanted to stop us playing to get something back to Vale Park. We should have put them to bed at 2-0. We didn't. We conceded a stupid goal to let them back in. And in the second leg, I think they couldn't have gone much better for them. Stonewall penalty turned down. We start slowly. They get the early goal that they craved. And then it was a stalemate for the second half. And then the penalties, we absolutely bottled it. And probably the one player that you'd thought I had worries that with the penalty, he was either going to Peneka it, score quite comfortably, or just smash it over the bar. And yeah, he smashed it over the bar. And at that point, I didn't think we're going through. And the Davison penalty was pretty average as well. And they beat us and they let us know about it.
Yeah.
He didn't just blaze it over the bar.
They let us know about it. But that ball's probably still going around orbit. It's probably going to make Vale Park again.
But it landed in my garden.
It's in your garden, is it?
Yeah. We had this. We said this before that there was it landed in my garden. Well, the football landed in my garden. It said property of Swindon Town on it. It was written in crayon and every word was spelt incorrectly. That's how I knew it was.
You did mention that actually. But, yeah, it really hurt. And that's the third penalty shootout that I've witnessed that in the semi-finals and the playoffs that I've lost. One we've won against Charlton, ball team. 3 that we've lost, and it gets painful, just as painful every time. It's horrible. I hate the playoffs, but I love them at the same time.
Oh, they're horrible, aren't they?
They're just so. It's great for the viewers, but to watch them, it's just so tense. It's just whole 9 months is based on that game, and obviously, your man next to me, he can tell a similar sort of story as well. It's just so painful to watch, and especially when it goes badly, it just hurts.
But when it goes well in the playoffs, I think there's no better feeling.
Best
the only feeling that, only better way of going up is winning the league outright.
Yeah.
When we
second
won
and third,
the playoffs,
not the same as it.
Nice. When we won the playoffs and beat Torquay to come back up into League Two, it was phenomenal. Absolutely loved it.
And Ben, if you think that your playoffs were rough, Hartlepool were winning until the 90th minute when Torquay's goalkeeper went up and scored to equalise. That was how
horrible.
that went. It was incredible for us.
And
to
then we
watch.
were getting absolutely paggered throughout the whole of extra time.
Yeah, and you won
He's
on
the same
penalties.
keeper that went to Port Vale after, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, he's the same boy that
Coverland?
absolutely lamped McCurdy.
Yeah, no, he's the one that stamped on McCurdy's chest and gave us a penalty, which was nice
Yeah.
of him.
Yeah,
But,
a bit of a wild thing of the playoffs. But you mentioned Charlton. We'll come to Charlton soon because we've got to practically. We want to look at where your squad from last season.
We're very close, us and Charlton.
Yeah, practically related.
Yeah.
Charles, we'll come to you next.
These are a feeder team.
Yeah, they literally are. You had a little bit of a different ending to the season. So go on, Charles, give us 7 reasons why it was a bad ending.
1, 2,
Yeah,
do 4. I'll do
I'm
4.
waiting for him to go full Steve Evans and get his out.
4.5.
Definitely not. Yeah, we'd be going down again, boys. No, right, the playoffs, we were hungover, weren't we, in terms of what had happened on that final day. So, I mean, as cocky as I was, I attended a PFA Player of the Year event in Manchester the week before they started because Mitch Pinnock was up for the fans Player of the Year for League Two, along with like 7 other players who were much more likely to actually get it. And I sat there on a panel with Gab Sutton, Laurie Martin, who's a Forest Green Rovers fan, and I think he's a vlogger or a blogger. And there was somebody else on there as well who was playoff wise, but I sat there and bigged us up because that's what I do. Like, I go in full beans, full strength, and I go, nothing for us to worry about. We're just going to go and wipe the floor with this. We'll easily beat Mansfield, and then we'll go and, whether it's Swindon or whether it's Port Vale, it doesn't matter. I'll just go and we'll just go ahead and we'll win 7-0 and it'll all be fine. And then, of course, we didn't. So, it was a bit of one of those. The playoffs were a bit of a non-event for us. I think it felt very flat, both games, fan-wise and on the pitch. And I don't think they were particularly good games. Mansfield deserved the wins. No question over that at all. But yeah, I don't think that they were... Well, they proved they weren't good enough to go up. I do think that out of those 2 semi-finals, the wrong 2 teams made the final. If you look at it from the course of the whole of the season, not just on those. Yeah. But yeah. I mean, you look at you mentioned the goalkeeper for Torquay. Like, so he signed for Port Vale, and we had them at home on the first day of the season. He comes rushing out of his goal. Nicky Kabamba just basically nutmegs him, I think. Liam, you know about that. And I think he then lashed out at Nicky Kabamba and he got sent off. So that was his league debut for Port Vale. He got sent off.
I was
Is that how many times Adam Morton nutmegged you? I can't remember.
He didn't meg me. He nutmegged Billy Banton, Bradford's mascot, which is 2 complete
I was
separate entities.
pissing myself that first game of the season where he took out Kabamba as well, because I was like, welcome to League Two, Lucas Covalan. That is you big dick.
I think the thing for me was we obviously we did an episode between the last game of the season when obviously we've got to say the 7-0 happened, and your first playoffs, and I think I was quite vocal on that episode that I thought you were going to be too disheartened to perform in the playoffs, and it unfortunately what was the first leg? Was it 2-1 or 1-0?
First leg was the 2-1, wasn't it?
2-1,
and then 1-0 at our place. Yeah,
and it just it was you could see it. I think you could see that you were going to struggle, and this is why we sort of mentioned, or Grant mentioned about Doncaster. This is why I think Doncaster are in for a real culture shock with League Two this season, because they've just come down in a very poor League One. Granted, the very, very top was great, but the rest of the league was very, very average, and they were terrible. And I think they're underestimating this. So you can kind of see it sometimes. Like, we could see that you guys were going to struggle, but we've got you for another season, at least.
You're welcome.
You're
welcome.
Thank you so much for allowing our teams to travel to the coldest, most boring football ground on the face of this earth. I think MK Dons has entertained me more when I've been there. No. Do you know what? Do you know what it is? I've said this. I've been to your ground quite a few times, and every time I've been, it's been 0-0. One time was a Friday night. We got stuck in traffic all the way down. It took us about 5.5 hours to get there. We got there 10, 15 minutes before kickoff, and it was 0-0. And I was absolutely fuming. But I think the difference between your two sides here, Swindon were very football based. You guys are more about, I don't want to say bullying, but you are a physical side, and that's where I think everyone struggled against you last season. Set pieces were like, that was it, wasn't it? You guys were just, everything came through your set pieces. Yeah. You were hard to break down. But this season, we're going to break you down.
Okay.
A lot.
Okay.
A lot.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, what do you think, looking back on last season, both of you then, what was your key moment, aside from the playoffs, aside from what happened there, but what was, like, for you, the point where you thought this could be a good season? Because they were good seasons, let's be honest.
For me, it was Tranmere away, which was in November. So we went to Tranmere, and I think, if I'm right in saying this, I think at the time Tranmere were 5th and we were 6th, I think. And we were coming off the back of a couple of decent results. And Tranmere, on paper, looking at the league table, looked like it was going to be the first actual hard test in that little run of decent results that we'd had. And we sort of went, well, if we can win at Prenton Park, which doesn't happen too often for us, then that really does show some intent, and I reckon we've got a chance of having a good season. And then we won fairly comfortably in the end. I think it was 2-0. And that was the point where I was like, afterwards, we all got excited. The problem was that less than a month later, we then had a COVID bout, which basically meant that we didn't play a single game over Christmas. And I think it was maybe a 3-week break. I think we missed about 5 games in total. And our first game back was away at Swindon. And although we were pretty good for the first half, and we were, was it 2-1 at half time, Ben, I think?
It was 2-1 at half time, yeah.
And then literally we ran out of legs. We ran out of steam. And Harry McCurdy went and put 4 past us and made it look so easy.
Look at how smug Ben is. Look at how smug he was when you said that. Then he was like... Yes, you did.
To be fair, I mean, the one thing that I said at the time was fair play to him. He had a great game that day, but and he still had to score the goals. However, the one thing that I always said was that you could tell that we were really leggy because we'd not played for that long. And it was one of those. They had Man City the next week. That was their next game. So every single player in that team was vying for a place in the starting lineup the following week. If it hadn't have been that way around, I'm not saying we'd have won the game, but there were players that were on their very best game for Swindon that day because of the fact that they wanted the next week so much. And that was a bit of a downer, and it took us a few weeks for us to recover from that. Had we have not had that COVID bout, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be sat here now, and we'd have finished in that top 3.
Well, you wouldn't have moved house, surely.
I don't know, yeah, but I wouldn't be having to talk to you.
well, so
I'd be on some like League One with a Sunderland fan.
You and Forest Green.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ben, same for you then. What was your point last season where you thought, because you guys were tipped to go down?
Yeah.
It was a shit show, really, your club.
Yeah, there are 2 points actually. The first one was the very first game of the season where I thought actually we might be all right here. Though it was away against Scunthorpe, the way they played, and we were so close just to not being anything, and it's just not being an entity at all. Yeah. And to get away with it, and for the judge to rule on our side and the Clem side to take over the club, and have all that stress and weight taken off, and then just go bang, 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 all these signings that just come in like 2 weeks before the season started, and they were just going, they were running purely on adrenaline, and the fan base was, and to go away from home, that was Scunthorpe, that turned out to be like a gimme because everyone beat Scunthorpe. But to go,
Harley called him.
Fuck off.
but
To
to
be
go
fair,
there,
Northampton. Hang on,
and-
wait, sorry, 1 second. Northampton didn't either.
We didn't.
No.
We beat them
Oh,
at home.
Sorry, lads. But to go there and to win so comprehensively, and the away end, it was heaving, just to explode and absolute joyous that it was actually over, and then we just took off a little bit after that. To think that we could actually have a really good season was October, was an innocuous 1-0 win away at Salford when they huffed and puffed, but they just couldn't break us down. And Jack Payne was brilliant, nicked the goal. Your ex-manager, whose name just completely forgot to me.
Gary Bowyer.
Yeah, Bowyer had a complete meltdown and ran on the pitch to try and thump Johnny Williams because he was just absolutely taking a piss and ran the ball out of play and then started running with it to the centre circle. So we started running after him, and it was just hilarious. And I was just thinking, you know what, we could be all right here.
Team
We're
full
pretty
of shit
resilient.
houses, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
You see, at the point when McCarty got his injury, and it was all the rumours were there going, he is out for the rest of the season. That was the big thing that came out. What were your thoughts at that point? Because you went on a real slump of form, and it looked like you weren't going to recover at any point and finish in the playoffs. You were dropping well out unless he came back. What was your thoughts going through that sort of period?
At that time, well, it wasn't just McCurdy as well, because we lost Louis Barry as well through injury of that, and there were outlets either side, and Davison was lost without them too, and he can't hit a barn door when he's not got the right service. So the goals dried up, and we always liable to concede goals anyway, because we had a leaky defence last year. It was all about attack, and we lost our way a little bit. We had lost our talisman. There was rumours that he was out for the season, and I was concerned until Ben Garner came and go, it's going to be a few weeks. He's not out for the season, so don't worry about it. But we won't rush him because we need him at the end of the season. But he'll be right. He'll be back with us, and he'll be full strength for the running. And that's sort of like, it's made us feel like, well, at least as long as we're there or thereabouts, we can have dash it. But McCurdy's injuries cost us automatic promotion because we were 3 points off in the end.
I still think that you'd have gone up automatics if McCurdy hadn't got injured.
Yeah, if he hadn't and he got injury, but players get injured. But the McCurdy thing, when he's on and the form that he was in, he brings a fear factor with him. He could be awful most of the game, but it just takes one moment of like a through ball or a couple of step overs, and the fans pick up, and the opposition fans know, and they boo him, and there's players that try and target him and kick him. So the focus is always on him, and that brings out the best of him. The best thing teams could do is just ignore him, but. There's always
he thrives on that sort of thing. He loves being hated.
He attracts. I am the panto villain. He's got bleached blonde hair now. He's done the pony cut, so he's bleached his hair. It's short, so he still looks like a little
Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah, he still looks like a little turd. To be quite honest, he still looks.
He's went from looking like the pedo out of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang to now looking like Ellen DeGeneres.
Honestly, I think that's the thing that he just looks like
video.
A little smug little tit, because that's his niche. That fuels the fire, and he'll be the same again next season.
Wait till he's wearing a Charlton kit, Ben. If you think
well, you know, we'll talk about Charlton later. He might go to any other club, but I seriously doubt he'll go to Charlton, and I'll tell you for why when we bring it up. We won't talk.
I like it.
But, yeah.
So I mean, look, you had. Let's be fair. You had. In comparison to mine and Grant's teams, you had very good seasons. Should have gone better. I want to come back to you, Charles, and I know I keep bringing it up, but that day, the 7th, we've not had a chance to speak to a Northampton fan yet. So, talk us through that game. That when you were getting, because you'll have been getting the news through of goals. Like, what was it like to? Because Grant, believe it or not, and you can hate him if you want, Grant said that...
yeah, I've heard this. Yeah, I've heard this. It's his fault.
He did actually say Bristol would go and win 7-0.
Poor lad's going to
Costa.
get PTSD right here. he
It
was
was-
celebrating promotion with 5 minutes to go.
it was heartbreaking. Honestly, I mean, I was on the terrace at Barrow, and
I mean, it's heartbreaking as enough as it is.
That's
Exactly,
No one
yeah.
wants to be on the terrace. Even the people from Barrow. Even Barrow don't train in Barrow. That's how bad it is. They train in Manchester.
Do you know the worst bit of that? Because there were loads of. I went up on the train. It was a really good day. There were loads of us that had gone there. So we had a podcast meetup with loads of listeners. They came along. We were in the Weatherspoons before the game, and we just heard this loud bang. Right, not like, oh God, what's going on? The world's ending bang. Just a loud bang, like a car backfiring. Right, and we just turned around and we looked out the window at the main road. And there was this group of, let's say, about 20, mostly youths, and then a couple of old farts, all dressed in black, balaclavas, you name it, all throwing like like when you were at school and you had little popper things that you threw, little firecrackers.
Yeah.
They were like those, but a bit bigger because they were louder than what you had
There'll be
at
the
school.
big red one.
Yeah,
Things. Yeah.
And they were like, bring it, come outside, and we're all like. We're quite happy to just be out having a few drinks, go to the game, watch us get promoted, and then go home again. It'll be fine. And we were laughing, absolutely laughing at these idiots and these kids with their granddads, as it really was. And then on the terrace, we blew Barrow away fairly comfortably. Barrow hadn't lost by more than 2 goals, I think, all season at home last year.
Yeah.
And we were
anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. We were 3-0 up. Dead easy. Looking nice and calm. They get a goal just before half time, which was quite poor defending from us, but fair play. It was a decent goal.
That was the one, wasn't it, as well? That was the one that killed you.
Well, you say that, but
I
mean...
seven at Bristol that killed him.
Yeah, but you can't do anything about Bristol Rovers, but you can stop that one.
That's what I based the 7-0 on. I went, look, I think this is almost quote unquote what I said in the podcast. I was like, Barrow haven't lost anywhere by more than 2 goals in the season. So all that needs to happen is Bristol Rovers to score 7. And I think they will.
Yeah, that is literally what you said. But my thing is, and I said this to some Northampton fans, Barrow were terrible last season. You should have just scored another. Like, that was...
Yeah, it's all well and good saying that, and it's very simple, but, at the end of the day, no other team managed to do that to them last season.
Yeah.
They may well have been terrible, but they didn't get relegated. And there were 2 ridiculous teams, or ridiculous clubs, I should say, with what happened with Scunthorpe and Oldham. That's not necessarily a fault of the teams, but, there were 2 basket case clubs in the division last year, but Barrow could have quite easily got relegated if they were that bad. They didn't. So therefore, they're not that bad. Didn't get beat by more than 2 goals. We were okay that day. We were fine. But go on, Ben.
Just so in that second half, when it was 3-1,
did
you just go through the motions, or were you at going for it, corner, keeper pulling off saves?
Yeah, pretty much. Barrow acted like, and this is absolutely fine. Barrow acted like they were winning 1-0 and put every man behind the ball, went to block everything. They were 3-1 down, and we were all like that going, surely you want to win. But they didn't. All they wanted to do was keep the score down, which is fine.
Phil Brown ball.
Yeah, and it was very much like, well, in order to break that down, it was going to have to be something special, and we just couldn't. And that's all it was. And literally, it got to about, it must have been the 80th minute or something like that. I'd been watching or hearing the goals going in at the Mem and thinking, there's another one. There's another one. Because at half time, they still had to score 5. They were still, we were still in exactly the same position as we had been before kick-off. They still had to score 5. And I was like, that's fine. They're going to be all right. We're going to be, they've got to score 5. They've only managed to score 2 in 45 minutes. Now they've got to score 5 in 45. It's not going to happen. It's going to be fine. And as the minutes ticked down and the goals went in, the less confident I got in that prediction and got about fit the way that I was feeling. And I think by the time they were 6-0 up, I was sat down on the terrace, head in my hands, because I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
And then the thing that rankled me, and I know Bristol Rovers fans, and I know you guys, you're going to take the piss, and that's absolutely fine. Got no issue with that whatsoever.
No.
We would do that.
Got no issue with it whatsoever. And in a way, I probably deserve it. But when you look back on it and you just go, there was a pitch invasion for 10 minutes at the Mem. A pitch invasion, I completely get. We've had them. Bradford have had them. Swindon have had them. Hartlepool have even had them on occasion, right? Happens. But for 10 minutes,
Yeah.
I question that.
They basically, the referee said, if you don't get off the pitch now, I think Joey Barton went over the tannoy, didn't he, and said, if you don't get off the pitch now, the referee's going to abandon the game.
Yeah.
And then it would have been game over, because if it had gone down as a 3-0.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I just look at it and I just go, look, whatever had happened, and I know there's that thing of we should have scored another goal. Yes, we should have done. However, I firmly believe, based on how well Bristol Rovers played on the day, because credit to them, they still had to do it, and they did it, right? They would have got an eighth. If they'd have needed it, they'd have gone and got it.
Yeah.
So there is no, there's no sour grapes for me. I know that you look at Twitter and you see Bristol Rovers fans having a laugh at us. Well, that's because there's history. We beat them in the 1998 playoff semi-finals. We were 3-1 down in the first leg from their place, and then we won 3-0 at home to go to Wembley. That's, that was their heartbreak caused by us then. So they took great delight in it happening the other way around this time. Absolutely fine with that. But I think some of our younger fans, let's say, the ones that are very active on Twitter, could have cried a little bit less. Let's say that, right? But I think they're all lovely guys. They're all just having a bit of a laugh. But I think sometimes you've just got to just turn around and just accept the fact that it wasn't going to be our day.
Yeah, it was quite I don't know, is ill-informed the right word? I think it possibly is. Like, they weren't very... They'd not done a lot of research into the things that they were saying. So, like, they looked at the Scunthorpe squad, and they immediately... The big thing was Scunthorpe have played the kids. The FA need to look at... EFL need to look into this. This is disgraceful. They've put out, they've basically thrown the game. But 9 of the 11 that started the week before against Hartlepool. 7 of the 11 that started the week before against Bradford. So, were they winding down and putting more and more kids in the team? Yes. They didn't have anyone else at this point in the... You know what I mean? It was... They were relegated.
Well, that's not true. They did have players. They could have played them. They could have done it. They didn't. They chose not to, which is their prerogative. Yeah. And that's absolutely... Look, right? There was all this, as well as there being the ill-informed stuff from our side that came out, there was also a lot of ill-informed nonsense that the media put out there about us writing to the EFL and saying...
Yeah, what was that?
Right?
Was that a thing?
No. What happened? What happened was that the CEO, as happens with I believe every single club at different points throughout the season, had a chat with the liaison officer at the EFL, and they just went. All they did was they just went. It's not what happened. It's should that really be able to happen in the grand scheme of things for the integrity of the competition moving forward. And the EFL liaison person just went, you know what? You've got a point. Should they be able to wind it down the way that they'd done because they knew they were relegated? One of the things that really bugged me, and I think this was actually on 606 on the day, on the Saturday, someone rang in who was a Scunthorpe fan, who was talking to Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage, and they were saying, Northampton had the same opportunity everybody else did to put 7 past us, and they didn't do it. My argument then was, well, when we played and we got a 0-0 at Glanford Park against them, they played their full strength team, full of, seasoned professional players. When they were playing those last 3 games, they had an awful lot of youngsters in the team, including one goalkeeper who was 16, 17 years old.
17, I think it was.
17 years old. I feel so bad for that kid. because he
Oh,
got
yeah.
thrown in. He's just got thrown in and gone, here's your career, done and dusted in 190 minutes.
I mean, you got a clean sheet the week before.
Yeah, he
Fair
did
enough.
against Hartlepool. That's the thing. Hartlepool didn't score. Oh, no,
But
you
the other
did.
thing is,
it was 1-0, Grant. The week before your game was
I thought
1-0.
he kept a clean sheet. Was it one each?
No, you got a penalty.
That's how memorable
poor
the game
lad-
was to me.
but the poor lad got released.
Mm.
Yeah.
So they had
Yeah.
no intention of blooding him or anything like that. He was always going to get released. That's the thing that and I feel more bad for the player, for the lad. I've seen it a couple of years ago. We played, I think it was away at Cheltenham. It was the middle of the season. We played a young lad at centre back, and he got run rings round. Cheltenham's experienced forward line basically just went, hey up, there's a 17, 18-year-old first timer here. We're going to bully him. Welcome to the league, football pal. And he did. And the poor lad never played again for us. Keith Curl ruined his chances by throwing him in and doing that. And it feels like that's what happened to some of those lads for Scunthorpe. And I feel quite bad for them. Look, I know it sounds like sour grapes from my point of view. At the end of the day, we weren't good enough. Bristol Rovers scored 7. They did what they had to do. Fair play to them. Well done. Go and climb up a lamppost and be up there at 4 o'clock in the morning. Absolutely no problem with that. Enjoy it. Have fun. But it's done. We've moved on. It's the next season now. And, there's plenty of, reason for optimism from us. I know you don't rate our chances, but that's absolutely fine.
I will go into why, but before we do,
Yeah.
So Charles, on the thing about Bristol here, just especially for you, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our special guest at this time, Joey Barton. Look at his face. I'm only joking.
Why would I? Do you know what? It's one of those things where you look at it and you just go, look, I've never met Joey Barton. The only stuff I know about him is what's been reported in the media and what I saw, Match of the Day all those years ago.
So I'm
Joey Barton!
Ladies, guys, welcome. I met Joey Barton last season and didn't even know I'd met Joey Barton. It wasn't until after the game I realised Joey Barton was the manager at Bristol Rovers. Like, I'd met him. And then I think it was Grant that texts going, have you seen Joey Barton? I'm like, why? Where is he? He's the Bristol Rovers manager. I'm like, is he? I'm looking down going, oh yeah, that's Joey Barton over there. I'd met him. Took his hand.
This was
Even
before
click on-
we started running a League 2 podcast.
Yeah,
by
this
the
was
way.
before the podcast. This was just me, in a world
We
of
don't-
my own.
We
tunnel
don't claim
vision.
to have an extensive League 2 knowledge despite running
No.
a League 2 podcast. Well, what's that about?
No, and people seem to think that we should. People seem to think we should be an encyclopedia. We're not. We're just we're just fans that think it. So coming into this season, then both of you, how would you sum up your summers so far, and what feels different this year to last? Ben, you're going to have a massive difference in your feelings this year to last, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But yeah, how's your summer been? What are you feeling now compared to how you were feeling last season?
Well, this summer, at the end of the season, we went for a lot of hope because I honestly thought that we'll spend a load of cash, we'll buy X, Y, Z, we'll get loads of players and we'll go charge on for the league. Brilliant. And then Charlton came along and pissed all over that.
when you said spend a load of cash, you meant you guys as fans on season tickets, didn't you?
Yeah, well, yeah. I know you've got views on that as well. But I think Charlton just put a hold on our pre-season. And if you want to talk about Charlton later, we can do. But essentially, they put a hold on our pre-season because it took them an age to announce Ben Garner. We all knew he was going. Everyone knew it was going. But it took him about a month to properly announce it. Apparently, Ben Garner had his interview with Charlton the day after Port Vale, which was quite interesting. This is hearsay. I don't know that as an absolute fact, but that's what the rumours going around. So
first or second leg?
Imagine if it was the
The
first.
rumours the first one. The rumours the first one.
Really?
No.
Yeah, that's the rumour. I don't know that as fact.
To be fair, with that there, Pete Wild did the same for Halifax. He had his interview for Barrow before the Halifax playoff game against Chesterfield. And the day after the game, when they lost, he resigned and was announced as Barrow manager. So he knew that if he lost, he was going to Barrow. I don't like that. That for me is that's.
Thing is, it happens a lot though. National Leagues, because their playoffs are so much later, that you find a lot of players that are playing in the final or the early playoffs. The players even have their contracts tied up to you. The players go, right, we want to play in League Two next season, and they already signed. You look at things like Luke Armstrong. He would have signed for us if he knew he were guaranteed to go up into League Two, but he didn't know we were We didn't know we were going to win the playoffs, so he signed for Harrogate because he wanted to play in League Two.
I think
same things happening.
I think a manager is another. I think a manager's a different kettle of fish on this. That is dodgy for me. Carry on then.
That's the rumor that it had. And his last interview, the last thing I ever heard him say in the Swindon shirt is about him talking about only wanting players that actually want to play for the club. He's gone. Anyway, so then that happens, and then there's the rumors about other players, and then there's the contracts are waiting for extension. And we sign. Well, next thing is Ben Chorley, our director of football, decides to up and leave for no reason at all. We're okay with Ben Garner going long as we keep Chorley, because Ben Chorley signed all these players last season, and he'll spearhead us. And then he resigned overnight. And we bring in this chap called Di Michele, Alessandro Di Michele, who was director of football at Wigan. And basically, and he will say himself that he was a big part of Wigan's success out of the league last season. So he's a big thing, and he believes in data transfer. He works on data really, rather than just viewing eyes. They circle up players and things like that, isn't it? And we've got that anyway. We've got loads of sports scientists. We've got such a massive back team, and that's how it's all worked out. And he says, right, well, what we're going to do is we're going to work on a similar sort of platform to Brentford and Peterborough as well. We're going to go out, we're going to find these players who are sort of early 20s, and we're going to, some of them we're going to spend some money on, and we are going to make them better, and then we're going to make the club self-sustaining, which probably was music to Clem's ears, and we're going to make a bit of a profit on them. Now, the players that we've got in, there's 13 of them in total. Only 2 of them are loans, which is great for us. The squad is deeper. I actually quite like a lot of the signings that we've made. I could stand and go for each one. We'll be here till 12 o'clock, so I won't.
Yeah, don't. Please don't, Ben. I've read your tweets.
I won't. But we've improved in depth, especially at the back. We've lost 5 players. One of them to Northampton, which is Odmayo. And I think 3 have gone off to Charlton, including Jack Payne. But the squad depth is a lot better. The quality is still pretty good. We've improved in other areas that we were lacking last season. I think we're missing that bagsman to go up front with McCurdy, and I think we'll be all right this season. But there has been a sort of a strange change in structure over the summer. But I'm behind it. Some fans aren't quite as much, but I'm okay with it.
Fair play. Charles, for you, he's just mentioned one of your signings there, so he's ruined your surprise. How's your summer been? What's different for you guys this year? Who's your latest thug that you've signed to just bully people this year?
I think because I didn't actually come back to you on that point when you made it earlier, and I look at it right, and I go. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Joey Barton, actually, in fairness, who basically called us the rugby team and said that we played like a rugby team.
If it works, though.
Well, I mean, the irony was that day that one of his players actually did rugby tackle one of ours and broke the guy's collarbone, I believe, and that ended his season. So it was a bit ironic
Joey
when
gave
it was
him a
said.
raise.
Probably, yeah. I think there's been an evolution. So basically, the whole thing, we've always been Northampton, I think, have been a physical side, always. Yeah. And that's fine. But under Keith Curl, it was also diabolically crap to watch. Despite the playoff win in 2020, it was still terrible football. Most of the fan base didn't like it. So there's always been, in John Brady's mind, a case of trying to evolve that to become more entertaining. But we're always going to be Northampton, and we're always going to be physical. And look, I think this year, the big thing for us last year was that we struggled to score goals, especially in the first part of the season, from open play. And we, throughout the entire season, had no real depth to the squad. You watched one of our games and you're unlikely to see a substitution until the last couple of minutes, simply because we didn't really have anything on the bench that John Brady felt like was going to come on and do anything to change the game. Danny Rose was basically coming on to be a foul getter. He'd literally come on, we'd pump the ball up, and he'd throw himself on the floor and win a free kick. Proper shithousery. And that's all he brought to the team. I find it quite funny that Stevenage are expecting him to bang in the goals. But he's not going to score them more than a handful of goals. I mean, if he does, then great. Fair play to him. But I really don't expect to see him scoring bucket loads. But I think with us this season, most of it has been, obviously we've had to replace Liam Roberts, who's gone to Middlesbrough. So we've gone and got Burge from Sunderland, which I think is a terrific signing for us. Fraser Horsfall's gone to Stockport. So therefore we had to go in and get a replacement for him. Sam Sherring, I'm not really sure if we've got the replacement for him yet. I'll be honest. I look at it and go, the lads that we've brought in are quite young.
Yeah.
So therefore,
Barron Hilton.
Yeah. But I mean, in defence, all of them are quite young. I don't really see them as being definitely replacing what Horsfall gave us. We'll see. Sam Sherring.
You still get the experience of Guthrie, though, don't you? There.
Yeah, we do, as long as he's still here, because that's a bit dangerous at the minute. But we'll see. I think, on the most part, the signings that we've made have been designed to fill those gaps, but then also to fill the bench. And we do look a lot stronger now, especially in midfield. The big issue that we had last season was that as soon as Sean McWilliams got injured or suspended, we were really light in the centre of the park. We seem to have sorted that out now, and we've got more players that can come in case they're needed to. So I'm looking at it and going, I'm positive. We're not done yet. I think we've got 4 more signings that we want to make.
Wow.
Definitely another striker, maybe another right winger, and then a defender or 2.
Do you think he'll do more from open play this season than what he'd
so.
have done last season? I think one of my favourite quotes from last season in our Discord group was a Northampton fan, a guy called Mike Fuller.
I know Mike. Yeah.
He put up when News played Harrogate. He put up, remember this day. Northampton have scored 3 goals from open play. It must. It's like miracles do happen.
Yeah, there was a lot of people in the fan base that, I don't know. You guys must have the same thing, right? Where everybody's entitled to an opinion, but sometimes you look at the opinions and you just go, "We're winning games. Why are you so downbeat?"
Yeah. I'd have taken I would have taken your position last season over ours any day of the week. Granted, it went to tits at the end, but to be up there to be up there grinding out those results was better than what I was watching, I assure you.
And some of the games that we were playing, they were fantastic games to watch. They really were. Some of the play that we had, while it might not have ended up in an actual goal from open play, it was still good to watch at times. Granted, not 100% of the time, and there were definitely better footballing sides in the division. I mean, the one thing that I'll say is that I never really saw anyone tear us apart or blow us away. And I think that's down to the fact that we're hard to beat, and that was that's kind of the Northampton way. Is the first thing that we do is we stop you guys, whoever it is that we're coming up against, we nullify that, and then we go and do what we have to do to go and win the games. And I mean, a lot of the time last season, that's exactly what we did. We went on a really good streak where we had clean sheet after clean sheet after clean sheet. Didn't necessarily win every single one of those games, but it was a good 6, maybe 7 games, clean sheets in a row. And that all comes down to one man, which is Colin Calderwood, and just the way that he sorts the defence out. He's absolutely brilliant in that respect. He got us promoted in 2006 as manager. Now he's assistant manager. He's doing things again, same as what he did with Blackpool in their League One promotion campaign. So, yeah, it's good stuff. I just think that this season, it looks like what we're trying to do is give Mitch Pinnock more chance to actually be creative. And I think a lot of the time last season, that's where we kind of fell down, was that he's a class player and he doesn't have to be on his best day to do anything ridiculously amazing. Yeah. But if you give him a little bit more time, if he's got more behind him to help him out, he can obviously thrive better. So I think that's what we've gone for. It'll be interesting to see if it works.
I think so. Well, when you were talking then about being physical, I think that for me, when I say going to Northampton's dull and boring, I think the more I thought I put into it, it's more that it's frustrating. I think for me, I can only remember one season. Yeah, I'm going to say one season where we played you. We actually played you 3 times. We played you twice in the league. We played you in the playoffs.
And in the FA Cup as well. We played for 2012, 2013, Liam.
2012. Did we play the FA Cup as well?
FA Cup with a replay. So it was 5 games in total.
Well, there we go. It's a 5 in total.
Ivan Toney made his debut against you at Valley Parade. There you go.
And that's the only season I can think of where we really weren't bullied. But even then, that team that you had then, who was it you had? You had Clark Carlisle at the back.
Akinfenwa
up front.
Clive Platt.
Yeah, you had some big players. And for some strange reason, the smallest man on the pitch, Naki Wells, tore you to shreds every game in that season. Yeah, like it was.
Wait, he tore everyone to shreds that season. He was brilliant. Was it Chelsea? Did he tear to shreds as well, or something?
No, he'd gone by then.
Oh, he'd gone by then.
Yeah, no, John Stead tore Chelsea to shreds.
Oh, that was it, John Stead.
Love the guy. But that's the only time I can really think about where we've come up against you, and it's been nice. With no way going, that was nice. It's frustrating. So you guys are frustrating to play against because you're hard to break down. Yeah, you are a physical side, but this season is going to be different. So we'll see. Question for you both then. Standout performer this season. Who do you think it's going to be for your squad? Who do you think is going to be the guy? When we imagine we're 12, no, what is it? It's 9 months, 10 months in it. We're sat here, end of May, and I say to you, how's your season gone? Who's that player that pops in your head who goes, he's just got us promoted?
Shall we do each other's, Ben? Because yours will be Harry McCurdy, surely.
It's not, actually.
Really? I don't think theirs is. I've got my own for them, and I said it on their podcast the other night.
Okay.
But I don't know what Ben's is.
I know. Mine is, if you go, mine's Sadio Khan, the lad we got from Chesterfield. Big, strong, number 8, box-to-box midfielder. It's something we didn't have at all last season. We had very pretty attacking midfielders, little midfielders, quick on their feet and like that, but we didn't have any big, bullying, strong box-to-box goal scoring yet can be useful in defensive situations. The midfielder, and he's so rated. We fought off our friends up the A420. We beat them to his signature. That's hilarious. and they gave him such a send off, the Chesterfield fans, and he's been impressive pre-season. I love him already. He's exactly what we needed.
For me, I don't know why. I can't tell you why. I've just got this feeling that Ronan Darcy is going to be a key player for you this season.
I've been told that Ronan Darcy. Now, if anyone doesn't know who Ronan Darcy is, he was one of the Bolton players.
Bolton.
Yeah, when they were in their troubles, was basically helping them out in League One, and he got himself a little bit of a reputation, and he was touted to be quite a good player and break through and be a big player. He played a little bit in their promotion campaign back into League One after their relegation. And last year he's been out in Norway. We actually spent some money from him. He wasn't a free transfer. We had to spend a few quid on him.
He was in Scotland as well. Played for Queen's Park for a bit.
Oh, did he? Yeah, he's at Scotland as well. Yeah. He's tipped to do okay. But I love Khan.
I think what Fife, who does the Fools Rushing, said he doesn't know whether he's going to start. He doesn't know whether he's going to be a first team. But for me, I think when he does get that chance, that's where I think he's going to stamp his feet in, and I think he's going to be phenomenal for you, and I think he'll keep his place.
There's been a lot of raiding. Scottish teams, Scottish lower league teams this season.
That's grand.
There's been loads of it. You have also got Tommy Adeloy.
Yeah. No, he's only played the one game since he got his international clearance, but he looked quite useful against Cardiff, and I'm quite excited to see him because, as you say, the Air fans loved him. When we sign someone, the first thing I do is type their name into Twitter and just skim up to read what opposition fans, what the selling club think of the player.
Air fans absolutely rave about him. They're gutted that he's gone. He done really well for Ayr. I think he bagged 11 for them last season. One of the guys that I work with, he's a massive Ayr fan, and he's devastated that he's away.
Yeah, it's he's gonna be good. We're still after a number 9, and as I say, we need someone who's going to get us like 20, 25 or so.
I told you who a number 9 was the other day. Told you.
You did Cook, wasn't it? You said we'll get I don't think we will.
So I think when people listen, because there's some Bradford fans that listen to this who think that I might have an agenda against Andy Cook. I think Andy Cook's fucking phenomenal. I love Andy Cook. I don't think Andy Cook's a second fiddle striker at the age of 31. I don't think Andy Cook wants to play backup. And I think this season, with what we've done, we've got Verdane Oliver. If Lee Angle's fit, Jamie Walker's fit, it's going to be Verdane Oliver in the middle, Lee Angle on one side, Jamie Walker on the other. Andy Cook's going to want to play. And I think if he settles into a squad that's playing decent football, because last year, all we did was hoof the ball up to him. We just played straight through the air, hoof ball. He had to control it, but he was a sole striker for most of the season. Like, you can't play hoof ball with a target man when he's got no one to lay it onto.
Yeah.
So, and he still scored 11 goals or 12 goals for us last season. I think if he's in a squad that's playing the type of football that you play, I've said since May, I think he'll end up at Barrow, or I think he'll end up at Hartlepool.
He'll need to be fit though. We make them run.
He is in the shape of his life. He's 2 stone down since the end of the season.
Is he?
Yeah. Oh, mate, go on Twitter, type in the preseason friendlies, have a look at the pictures of him. He has lost, because he did put on a bit of weight towards the end of the season, but I think, look, from what Mark Hughes says, the diets were atrocious when he came in. But Andy Cook over the summer has just, on the first day of pre-season, Sky Sports News were our training ground, interviewing Mark Hughes, and as the players came in, Mark Hughes said, when I was a player, pre-season was for coming in and getting fit. He said, these players have come in already fit enough to play. He says, we're now pushing them to be even more fit. He says, it's changed. It's completely changed. Andy Cook, when the season finished, went on this fitness thing. He is in the shape of his career, without a doubt. And I think it's a waste for him to be sat on our bench. I hope he gets into our squad, and I hope he stays there, because he's lethal at this level. But I just think Lee Angle, Verdane Oliver, Jamie Walker, he's going to maybe struggle on that. All depends on what the fight is, if he's got that fight in him, and I hope he has. I really have a lot of time for that guy. But if someone comes a knocking and the opportunity is right for him and he wants to do it, good luck to him and fair play, because I won't want to see us holding back. Like I say, 31 years old. No one wants to be a second.
One move left, hasn't he? He's got one move left.
Yes, yeah, realistically, yeah. Charles, for you, stand out. Who do you think it's going to be?
Well, Mitch Pinnock, probably. Most likely from last season. And then this season, I think if you're going to, there's going to be quite a lot of people that would say Sean McWilliams as well. But I think, because it's interesting, because like most people will go for a player that's creative and gets the bums off seats, scores goals or sets them up and does stuff like that. Sean McWilliams doesn't really do that. If he added that to his game, then he'd be, flying up in the Championship somewhere, rather than signing a new 2-year deal with us. But at the end of the day, I think that, especially from a Northampton perspective, it's the exciting players that we like the most. I mean, we all like that, right? As fans, that's what we want. Mitch Pinnock's
what you pay your money for, isn't it? It's what you pay your money to go and see.
You look at some of the goals that Mitch Pinnock scored last season. Some of them are absolute delights. And you just go, wow, out of nothing. His goal against Leyton Orient was an absolute peach. It's hilarious because it's from a free kick. Sam Hoskins miskicks the ball. He's just meant to just pass it a little bit to let Mitch Pinnock go a bit further wide so he can cross it in. But Sam Hoskins completely miscues it. Basically lays it on a plate for Pinnock just to take it inside and then smashes it. Because he's got nothing else to do and it goes in the top right-hand corner. It's incredible. So
Has there been much interest in Pinnock?
Say again, Ben.
Has there been much interest in Pinnock? Because he was a standout for you. He's the one player that I think has got a lot of creativity in your team, and that sort of thing attracts.
Yes, exactly. I mean, this is it. I mean, at the start, we're always worried. We're always that team that loses its best players every single season. This is probably the most stable that we've been over a summer period for years. Yes, we've lost 2 of the best players that we had last season, but the fact that it's only been those 2 is brilliant. There were rumours that Pinnock could go. I think Wrexham was the call. Having spoken with Mitch Pinnock's dad last season, I can't see Mitch Pinnock wanting to drop out of the league. He didn't want to do it, beforehand, so therefore he left Southend. I don't think that he particularly would want to go down into non-league, regardless of how much money was being thrown at him. But he's still with us, and there's been no rumours since the very end of the playoffs. We've heard nothing about Mitch Pinnock. It's just all the most that we've heard is through his own Instagram stories. Him and Harry McCurdy were having a lovely time wherever it was that they were, Magaluf or somewhere.
Oh, did they go together?
Well, wherever footballers go on their summer holidays is the same place that all footballers go, right? And they all end up half naked in a swimming pool together.
Doesn't want to hang around with Harry McCurdy. I've seen his Instagram his photos and he's following. It'll get him in so much trouble. It's just parties and girls and and stupid.
That is Mitch Pinnock in fairness as well.
All right, fair enough.
So I mean, they'll probably get on well. Yeah, but it's been a good summer for that respect. We all thought that Sean McWilliams was going to go as well because he was out of contract, but he's signed a new deal. I mean, I'd love it to be Danny Hilton. I'd love to sit here at the end of the season and go, Danny Hilton's just banged in 20 goals. It's been incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of Cobblers fans are quite excited about Hilton. And I'll be honest, they've got, a reason to, because you look at the strikers that we've had over the past few years, just seeing what he's done in pre-season, he looks like a player that knows how to find the back of the net. Yeah. Whether he will or not is a different question, but he's definitely got something that we haven't had for a little while. He's not going to score 20 goals. I don't.
Keeping him fit's going to be your hardest thing.
I think that
because
is it.
And this was I mean, you kind of alluded to it earlier about my thoughts on Northampton this season. I got into that with a few of your fans because they were naming him, and I was like, this guy hasn't played a full season of football in a long time, and he's coming into probably the most physical league in the country. Mm-hmm. If he struggled to stay fit, getting knocks in the Championship, he's gonna struggle. We're exactly the same with Lee Angle, and that's why for me, I don't have Lee Angle as. I think if Lee Angle, similar to Hill, if Lee Angle could stay fit for an entire season, he would be up there with one of the top scorers in the league. I think Lee Angle, fully fit, is one of the best forwards in this division. But unfortunately, he's very injury prone, as we saw last season. I think you're going to have that same problem. And that's all I was trying to say to people, and they were immediately jumping on my back. They were like, "Oh, well, I bet you think that Horsfall's the best transfer this window." I'm like, no, I don't. Don't think it's the best. I think it's a great signing for Stockport. I think it's a phenomenal signing. It's not the best. You know why? Because Richie Smallwood is the best signing of the summer transfer window. But we won't go into that.
Bradford one you were going to bring up there.
No, but
which of the
Bradford,
million players they've signed?
Yeah. That's our problem. We're usually in a position of struggling to pick out a good 11. We're at a point now where we're struggling to narrow it down to a good 30.
Oh, you little cunt. Sorry.
Grant's dog, by the way, for anyone on Spotify. Or Sarah Louise's missus. I'm not sure. We didn't see it. It was off camera.
Tourette's.
Yeah, just attacking it. So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to change this. I've got a final question that is kind of like a surprise question, but this is a question that I think you're expecting, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. How do you believe you'll do this season? And what I want from you is your 4 up and your 2 down.
Tasty. Shall I go? I'll go first, shall I?
You go.
I really want Ben to put Bradford bottom.
Adam.
Again, for those on Spotify, he just gave the birds
to the City event. He's just good. I think I don't think they watch this podcast, mate. To be fair, so they won't see it.
Chris does.
Yeah, Chris does. Chris was on my. Chris was backing me up. He was your bro. He was giving me the going. Nah, you're talking shit, Adam. So loving Chris. Where is he?
Chris don't do this no more.
Yeah. Oh well.
We lost him in a permanent.
Yeah, signed on a permanent. Yeah. It went on for a while. It was a bit like the Jack Payne saga. But go on. So yeah, how do you think? This isn't meaning me to. I'm not meaning to sound like a dick here. I'm asking you how you think you guys will do, and then you're 4 up, 2 down. You can include yourselves, and I expect you will include yourselves, both of you, in the 4 up. Just because I don't think that you guys are either of you two are going up this season, doesn't mean that you guys can't. I mean, I'll edit it out to make it sound like you guys want to be mid-table, but it's fine. So go on, Charles. You first. 4 up. 3 automatics first, I think, first of all.
You want those first? Okay. So I'm sticking with what I did on our pod this week. So I went with Mansfield winning. Doncaster second.
Whoa!
What?
And then us third.
What?
And then Gillingham winning the playoffs.
What?
Well, right. So I'll give you some context to this, which is that my predictions.
See, for those that
right. This is why
I look like I'm having a stroke.
So unlike a lot of people that go out there to put predictions out there to I've really looked into it and this is where I think your team's going to be and all this, that and the other, right? The only teams that I pay any attention to at any point is Northampton Town and England, right? That's it, right? That's it. I'm not one of those people that goes and looks at how the other teams are doing, how they're for. We do a preview show every single week, right? Where I get a fan from the opposition to come on and they tell us how they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't do any research. I don't need to. I just look at the league table, look at a few results and go, right, how do you think you're going to fare? And we have a nice chat for half an hour.
You sound like me.
Yeah, well,
don't do no research either.
Look, it's bone of contention, that by the looks of it.
Yeah, it's all right. Chris didn't even use. Chris sometimes didn't know who was coming on.
Nice.
Like,
if you've seen my screen right now, I have Transfer Market open. I have Flash Scores open. I have Wikipedia open. I've got fucking football site open with both of your results for the last season. I've got everything open here.
Yeah.
My screen is just you guys, and that's it. But yeah, no, look, right. So the thing is, and this is a thing, like, it's part of like my thing. So on our pod, we do a week for our patrons. We do a weekly roundup of League Two, and in that as well, at the end of it, I challenge the patrons, a different patron every single week, to do predictions for the following weekend's games, right? A bit like how the BBC do it with Mark Lawrenson. It's exactly the same format. I lost, and bear in mind, it's just basically, I think it's 2 points, 3 points for a win, for exact result, 1 point for being correct in terms of actually who won, and nothing for everything else. I lost 30-3 or something ridiculous, right? I am terrible at doing predictions. So therefore, basically what I do is I just went, let's have a look at these 24 teams. Mansfield, why not? Why not? Let's go with them. Doncaster get it because they're KFC. Have you ever been to the Keep Moat?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to the KFC around the corner from it on the industrial, or the little state thing? Yeah. Then they're the retail park.
I'm not sure.
If you go in there, you go in there and you look on the wall. They've got a plaque on the wall. Do you remember Roy Castle?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Record Breakers. Yeah, he was also in the Doctor Who films in the 60s, right? He had, I think it was leukemia or lung cancer. I think it was lung cancer, and that's what he passed away from, right? His charity, the Roy Castle Foundation, I think it is, or something, they give out Good Air Awards, and the KFC at the Keep Moat has got a Roy Castle Good Air Award. So if you go in there, terrible chicken, lovely air. So therefore, just on that basis, Doncaster finished second.
Mate, just on that, if people are getting promoted based on stuff like that, there's a plaque down centre of Bradford from Jimmy Savile. So I don't know where we're going this season.
But I can't believe you're putting Jimmy Savile and Roy Castle together. That's dreadful.
I know.
Awful.
Stuff.
Poor Roy. Poor Roy. I've gone for us as third because I genuinely think that we do have a chance. I think that I personally think that regardless of players that have come in, regardless of what it looks like on paper, John Brady just has this thing. He's a coach, right? He's not really a manager. He stepped up from the youth team where he's brought through so many great youth prospects. I believe that he had quite a big part to play with both Carney Chukwuemeka and Caleb, who we released at the end of the season before last. He's got a really, really good pedigree with making players better. And that's what we saw last year. No one had us to go up or be anywhere near where we were last year. I remember this time last year, everybody basically writing us off and saying we'd finish 18th or something. I didn't personally have a problem with that. I thought we'd be mid-table, and we did surpass expectations. That's why I think that we will get third, is because there's a lot that John Brady can do to make players better, and then second of all, it's the fact that there's a grudge to settle with League Two. So that'll be the thing. Guarantee you, that dressing room, there will be a cutout of a newspaper article from down in Bristol somewhere to use as motivation every single game, guaranteed. So that's why them. And then Gillingham, I chose Gillingham because, and I know you like him too. You've had him on here, Matt. Gills in the blood, top fella. We do an award show on our podcast at the end of every season. 2 years ago, last time that we actually were in the same league as Gillingham, he won our Fan Opposition of the Year, or Opposition Fan of the Year award. So
I won Swindon's.
He did.
Did you? How did that happen?
Honestly, do you want to know why? Because I went on that much that there was no one else to choose from.
He's basically one of us. To be quite honest.
Bradford fans hate me. Swindon fans really like me, so I just go on Swindon's podcast. Great.
That's nice. At least you found a home, Liam. That's
all I do is they sit talking Swindon, and I keep photoshopping photos, changing my background to Harry McCurdy wearing Bradford kits. And that's
nice.
all. That's kind of how it went. A little bit back and forth, but
yeah. Do you want me 2 down?
No, I want your playoff.
Oh, that was Gillingham.
Yeah,
Gillingham. Yeah. Just because I like Matt. No other reason. So, very, very quickly. So, my one is done to piss you guys off. So, it's not Bradford. Don't worry. I'm not pissing you off that much.
Look at Grant.
Ooh.
And it's not Hartlepool.
Oh,
No. It's so the other guys all went for Colchester as being one of them. I don't think that'll happen. I've gone for Barrow. I think they've just. I don't think they've got enough for this season, and that's a genuine. Actually, looking at it, I think Barrow will be the team that will go, and then I think Crawley are going to completely implode and get a massive points deduction, and they're going to go.
Ooh, you set them off now. It's the next 4
I think
hours.
there's going to be a points. Do you think there's going to be a massive points deduction?
Yeah, well, administration and probably
it can't. They
Yeah.
can't.
At the end of the day,
can't
well,
go
it can.
admin.
It
Well,
can.
no, but what I mean is, so this is where people obviously I know what you're getting at there. It's the hostility of the crypto thing, and it's the can you run a club on crypto? And their owners are worth 300 million. Like they're not going into like
Set them off.
no, that's what I'm going to say.
I
They're
poke
not
the bear
going to
with a
go.
stick.
What's going to happen is
Lovely microphone you've got there, Liam. Lovely microphone.
Am I muted? Am I still here? No. Oh yeah, shit. Good point. Yeah.
Have you got it? Oh, there we go.
I've got it, I've got it.
Lovely
But
microphone.
no,
Yeah, well done.
My point is, it's if they're in that danger, come January, you will see the biggest January transfer spending we have ever seen in this league.
I mean,
desperate signing desperately
Well,
doesn't
it would
work.
be desperate. It would be desperate, but I don't think that.
Right, having been in that situation with Northampton years ago when Gary Johnson was our manager, in fact, I think he came in at around about the January time. We our owners back then were, fairly affluent and threw a load of money at the January transfer window, right? And we stayed up, but it wasn't because of the transfers we made, because we only managed to get 2 in, because players don't want to go to a sinking ship that is obviously dropping down. And that is the issue that you potentially would have. So while I see why you think they'll have this big spending spree, players are still human beings and they still don't want to be part of a losing team. So if they've got the option of going to a team fighting for promotion, even if it's in the conference, who are willing to spend money as well, then they're going to go with the more successful or the bigger chance of doing something where they get accolades. If it's just staying in the Football League, they're not that bothered by it. I get what you're saying. They've got money. They're made of money. Absolutely fine with that. But football doesn't work just because you've got a bit of money.
Yeah.
Unless you're Man City.
But I think the money's going to stop them going to administration. That's what I think I'm getting at. I don't think they can. I mean, you never know. Preston, Eben, whatever. I think it is Eben, isn't it, Grant? We've not met Eben.
Yeah, we've not met Eben.
I think they might just turn around and go, now we're done, and off they go. And that's when it would be in big trouble. But Grant, can you imagine at the end of the season episode when we've got Preston on and they finish bottom of the league? And we try to bring up the discussion of renewal in sponsorship. Can you imagine it? Oh, it's going to be an awkward chat. We'll get Charles on for it. And it's been your fault, Charles. You did this.
Hey, look, I just look at it and just go, fair play. I listened to the episode where you had Preston on. I thought it was very interesting. I don't know anything about NFTs. I'm not interested in it whatsoever. A few years ago, I made a fairly decent amount of money on Bitcoin. But, I'm not like any sort of guru or anything like that. Made a few grand, was happy with it. Done, dusted. All I see is how it's portrayed in the media, stuff like that. If it's going to work, fair play to them. The issue that I had was the fact that if they'd come and taken over Northampton and then said the words that they, I believe, said, and I'll paraphrase because I don't have the quote, but they basically went, well, it'll either be amazing and we'll get promoted and we'll be in the Championship in 5 years or whatever it is that they said, or it won't work and we'll disappear.
They said there's no downside to it, didn't they?
I was like, nah, mate. If that was me, if I was a Crawley fan, I wouldn't be, jumping through the roof going, yay, this is brilliant. I'd be going, I'm worried.
That's why I think because obviously they tried to buy Bradford first. I think that's why Crawley's probably the
They-
perfect club for it because of
They
the.
worked their way through the league from basically took a list and went, right, this is the list of clubs, biggest at the top, smallest at the bottom. Bradford, undoubtedly, are one of, if not the biggest club in League Two in terms of just infrastructure and size, right? Start with Bradford.
Work your way down.
Who wouldn't want to own Bradford City and take them up and get them where they should be? Who wouldn't want to do that? They say no, you go to the next one. They say no, you go to the next one. They went through an awful lot of clubs before Crawley said yes. Crawley were not their first choice. And if you're a Crawley fan and you're hearing that, do you really think that those owners care about Crawley Town Football Club?
I think they probably, I get what you're saying there. They probably don't, or they didn't. Whether they do, I mean, they've got to care in somewhere because it's their investment in it, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see. I think it's going to be a very interesting season. And I think Preston, and especially, is thriving on everybody writing them off at this. I think they're very happy to be written off at this point, and I can kind of get why, because the pressure's then not on. You know, if they finish anything above relegation, a lot of people are putting for relegation. It's seen as a success in, you know, but it's fine. We'll deal with it. We'll have you back on for our next episode with Preston. You can talk to him.
Hey. No problem at all.
Ben, 1 to 3. I
1 to 3. Right. I'm gonna go mainly with the ones that have gone before. And my top of the league, I've got Mansfield. Again.
2 for Mansfield.
2 for Mansfield.
I might be right.
The reason I've got Mansfield is they've been so close for year upon year upon year. A little bit like Forest Green, sooner or later, they're going to go up. And I think they started the season quite slowly last season, or it might have been them last season. I think it's going to be, though a lot of their fans can be quite irritating, as we know in the Discord. I think
it's not a lot of Ben. It's not a lot of name him. Come on.
No, I think you know who I'm talking about. I think I think they're going to do it this year. I think they're a solid team. They're not going to sell anyone, and they're going to improve as the season goes on. Sooner or later, they're going to do it. They're going to do it, and that is my same theory of the second team. And this is going to make me very unpopular. Salford. I think their appointment of the Man United youth manager, I think finally is the right appointment for a team. It's trying to get out of League Two, and I think they've done things just a little bit differently, rather than just throwing a load of money at it. And
had a really quiet summer, haven't they?
Yeah, very quiet summer. I think they're going to build up to something quite good, and they kept continuity this time. They kept a lot of the team together, and I think they'll improve. And I think they will be in the top 3 reckoning. And I think the top lot are going to be quite tight. Now, the third, but I've changed my mind on. I've gone for Stockport. Now, double promotions are rare and very, 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 very hard to do. So that put me off them. But I think with momentum, we'll start them a good start of the season next season. They've got some very good players already in their squad last season that will do good well at this level. And I think a sprinkling of some more will have them in the reckoning. And I think they might pump third last day. Playoffs now.
Last day.
Last day, I think they'll pinch third last day. I think
it's beating us last. Their last game of the season's against us. Fuck them.
That sounds like a fairy tale, Grant. It's written.
Sorry. No, playoff wise, I think we've lost so many of them. I think we might again scrape 7th last day and do it. I think I'm going to go for us, purely the fact I'm a Swindon fan and I hate League Two. I don't want to do another season in League Two.
None of us are here for the love of the league.
I know League, and I love being on here.
Because Grant's been National League. Grant's here for the love of the league.
I love League Two. I love League Two. Much like Scotland at the Euros, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
I'm fed up with all our better players being like scoped over and being picked on by bigger clubs or top clubs in a higher league. I'm really annoyed at no offense, but looking over to the away end and seeing like 50 fans, and no offense, those clubs don't have every right to be where they are. And I'm not going to say that word that annoys Grant. I'm not going to say it, but I just want. I'd love games where there's like 2,500 away fans, and they bring in a load and the atmosphere. And I love big games, and I've had enough of this league. And
do you know what's going to happen? You can
yards.
see it happening now. Obviously, you've got the scenes from the playoff game, McCurdy missing his penalty, turning round, having a wee laugh. You can see that coming this season. He's getting at the playoffs. It's the playoff final, Wembley. It goes to penalties again, and the last penalty comes to McCurdy, and he just top bins it, and he scores the winning one. It goes from that kind of image of him laughing to him scoring the winning penalty to take his up. It's almost poetic.
You often see teams who go through heartache in playoffs, and this may apply also to Northampton, doing it again, the same route next season, because that bit of experience, that absolute pain that they went through, adds as that little extra incentive the following season. We've seen quite a few sides that just go that
Richie
little bit
Humphreys.
better. Yeah, they go that little bit better the following season, and they do it. And I'm hoping that's my wing and a prayer anyway. That's if we make playoffs, because it's going to be, there's a lot of good teams up there, You know, I've not even mentioned Bradford. I downplayed them a little bit. They're going to be so strong this season. They're going to be a tough team to beat. There's Orient that are coming up as well. I think they just signed Rob Hunt as well, which is our old right back, another good signing. Richie Wellens knows how to get out a league. There's just such a long list. So many teams that you pick a team out of a hat, really. 4 teams out of a hat, and it could be any one of them. I could be well out. I could be spot on. Who knows? It's
This
such
is
a
why
tight league.
I said Donny will struggle, because Donny haven't, or their fans haven't looked into what's gone on.
They don't know what's going to happen. They don't know. They'll sit there and they'll play a team like Crawley, and they'll expect to roll them over 3-4-0, and then they'll be second best all day, and then there'll be carnage, and they just won't be ready for it. But so I fully appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah. Who's your bottom 2 then?
Right, my bottom place. I got Barrow. They've signed one player of note that I quite like. What's his name?
From Halifax.
Yeah, no, it's someone else. He's played at a higher level. It's recent signing. No, he's not too bad. But yeah, they've sold a lot. I know. Even we taken their Hutton. He was a right back, and he was quite popular with them. And I think I think the weather kept them up last year because they're a horrible away team to go to.
You mean Richie Bennett by any chance?
No, a blonde lad. He might have been him. I can't remember his name. And the other one I've gone with is Harrogate, who I think started brilliantly last season, but that kept him out of trouble. And they sunk like a stone, and there was nothing that was going to change. And they've signed no one to make me think that they're going to do any better. And I think if they start the way they finished or ended, they could finish like on about 30 points. You know, it could be awful.
They've got a guaranteed 6 points this season. Guaranteed. We have never beaten Harrogate in our history. We have lost every single game.
Have you?
We have ever played to Harrogate. They have got a guaranteed 6 points. Hopefully that's going to change. But
I think, yeah.
I mean, the one reason I'd be thankful for them to go down is we don't need to listen to their fucking commentary anymore.
Grant's got a real. If you think Grant doesn't like the word Tim Pot, he doesn't like their commentator either. Their commentators is just so bad. It's incredible. It's good, bad. But yeah, it's fun, isn't it? So, well, here's my last question. Dark horse. Who is your dark horse for this season?
I'll let Charles go first. I'll go back to my notes.
And who is your underachiever? So who's not expected to be up there but will, and who's expected to be up there but ain't going to be anywhere near?
I think Ben's already said his dark horse.
Who did I say was dark horse?
You've put Salford.
Oh, I think dark horse. So I think they're a team that'd be up there anyway because of the money they've got. And
yeah, you can't be a dark horse and be Salford, can you? Sure.
No,
I don't
People aren't really talking
horse.
about them though.
I don't think it's dark horse. I think they've snuck under the radar because of Crawley. That's my reasons. I think because Crawley have done what they've done this summer, spending the money that they have. Obviously, the attention in this league at the moment is on Crawley in terms of that sort of team. Crawley and Salford are very, very similar teams, and I think the attention's off Salford. This is why they're going to probably be better this year, because no one's looked at what they've done, really.
See, I look at the table and I don't see a dark horse at all. I see teams that are underachieving, lots of them, but I don't see someone that should be in the bottom 6 breaking into the top 9. I'm looking at my predictions now. I can't. Grimsby, maybe.
I expect Grimsby to be top half, because the top 8, top 9 of the National League are better than the bottom half of League 2. It's that hard a league. For me, in terms of, when I say dark horse, looking at what fans are saying on Twitter and things like that, a team that I think everybody's writing off that I think is going to be top 10 is Stevenage.
But a lot of people are saying that, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
I've seen Stevenage being mentioned a lot in the last week.
I think that's lazy. Yeah, sorry, Charles, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, actually. I think it is a little bit... It's easy to say that Stevenage are going to... Because all the reasons that have been said about them already, they're not going to be a team that are going to be fighting for relegation when they've got Steve Evans in charge.
Yeah.
And they've done some decent business. I mean, don't ask me to name any of the players, but every time I've seen them signing a player, I don't know if you know him, Matt Farley, who does the Stevenage Borough podcast.
He was on here. He was the first guest this
Lovely
season.
Guy.
Ben, you'll get on well with him. You and him, the most positive fans.
Matt is the most positive guy I've ever come across in my life. He is Last year, he was certain Stevenage were going to have an absolute blinding year, and bless him.
He's the same this year. He's the same.
Yeah.
He went out to Jersey, or was it Guernsey? What, Jersey or Guernsey? Wherever Stevenage went on a pre-season camp in Jersey, he flew out.
He's a lovely guy. But yeah,
I think his positivity wore off in the two of us, and we're on that. We're on that. Stevenage are going to do well train this season.
I think if you're going to ask about a club that nobody's really talking about as being like proper contenders for the top 3, and I don't think they are, and bear in mind what I said earlier about me not giving a toss about other teams, so I don't really look. Leyton Orient, and I do that because of Richie Wellens. We look at what he did with Swindon Town, an incredible team with Swindon. Walked that league and would have done had it carried on. They would have kept going. So I just look at that and I go, you know what you're getting with the Richie Wellens side as well. I hate playing them because they are that good. They press, they're quick, they run at you. It's in a blink of an eye, they're at the other end. Sometimes it's incredible to watch. So I wonder about everybody. I think last year everybody expected them to be up there because Kenny Jackett was manager. That was a massive coup. A couple of the players that he brought in as well, people were like, "Wow, this is going to be good." And then of course the jacket came off, and it was all done. But Richie Wellens, superb manager at this level. I really do think he is. I know he didn't do very well, and Doncaster fans don't rate him. But I think potentially Leyton Orient could be up there for contention of promotion.
See, I didn't even class them as a dark horse because of Richie Wellens, but they kind of are really. But and like George Monker, that's an incredible signing for this level. I was like, wow, I'm really quite jealous of that. And there'll be more. There'll be 1 or 2 more before the season's out. And he does that. He makes his signings late. It's like Pele was when he signed from Bradford. He wasn't till August, and they'll make 1 or 2 absolutely jaw-dropping signings for the end of the window. You watch them. He's got pull as well. He'll play good football and he'll attract good players.
He was shit for us, was the Ginger Pele, by the way. And George Munker is a fantastic signing. The second best signing from Hull to the league this season. Question for you, Ben. I thought, obviously, the Richie Wellens thing while we're on it. If the rumours are true that Bradford were going to appoint Richie Wellens before Mark Hughes came in, if we'd have appointed Richie Wellens, would you have us in your top 3?
Yes.
Interesting. That's interesting for me, that.
Because I know he's got pedigree getting out of this league. I don't. Hughes is still a little bit of an unknown quantity at this level. He's not had a full season yet, and he's not worked with League Two players. And I know he says, well, he's had all these prima donnas, but a League Two player is a different kettle of fish. You know, he's going to be frustrated. They're not, players are not going to listen to what he takes, and they're not going to learn as quickly as these Premiership stars. They're not going to take in training what he says straight away, like these Premiership stars. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of dumbing down for him.
To be fair, though, Ben,
do what he wants him to do because it's not what he's used to.
To be fair, though, Ben, he had experience with Wales with that, didn't he?
But that's the thing with if he can almost like work with League Two players and get them doing what he wants them to do, because they information doesn't stick as well. That's why they're in League Two.
They won't be able to do the things he wants, will he? That's the thing, and we've seen that before.
It's like when great players don't always make good managers because what they tell them doesn't automatically stick, and it could work the same in League Two.
I get why a lot of people are not writing us off, but hanging a question mark over.
Oh, you'll be up there. You'll be up there.
We should be. Whether we are, I don't know. It would be typical of us to finish mid-table. Grant's muted. He's still talking, but don't worry.
I was going to say, on the other hand, so we've talked about kind of dark horses. What about the people who expect to do well, who you think won't do as well?
Yeah.
Quite a few. Sutton. I think Sutton.
Do you expect them to do well, though?
No, I expect them to do badly.
Yeah, but I don't think they expect to do well. I think I think Sutton is in the same way that you guys said about Stevenage. I think Sutton's a quite obvious one. I think we've touched. I don't want to say touch on. I got out of that habit. We've alluded to it. Who it is, and for me, it's Doncaster. Doncaster are expecting. Their fans are expecting to only be here for one season. And you know what? Then I am going to say I think you guys as well.
Yeah, no, you said before.
I've said it. I think. To be fair, I think both your teams. I think you've got Northampton. I think are in for a bit of a rough start because I still think that you're going to be. I get what you're saying. Like you've got a point to prove this season. You've really got a point to prove. I don't think you've got that yet. I don't think you're there yet. So I think you're going to maybe have a slow start and then you'll be playing catch up.
To be fair, that wouldn't be any different from any other season for us. We always have a slow start. So,
but this season it's going to be so tight that I think that if you're not ready and raring to go this Saturday, you're going to get left behind. That's we sort of said that for quite a while. Same with you guys, Ben. I get that like you've got players, you're liking them and things like that. I think until the August transfer window closes, you guys are going to be sort of squeaky bum time over whether someone's going to come in and take more players, whether Garner's going to come try and take Harry McCurdy. Like you say, if Harry McCurdy has a blinding August and he's got 5-6 goals come the end of August, what's going to happen? And we're quite lucky in that we've not got anyone like that we're going, oh shit, we're going to keep him to end it somewhere. You guys are praying for that window to close so that you know you've got him.
Sorry, I missed that. It was Sutton and who?
No, we're just I was saying Doncaster. Yeah. But then I sort of brought these two up in that I think that Northampton are going to have still the hangover from last season, and I think Swindon are going to maybe not be as focused because they're going to be trying to keep hold of someone like McCurdy. So
I think the other one that will struggle for me this season's Crewe.
Yeah.
I think Crewe are really going to struggle this season, and I think they'll be down the bottom end of the table.
They're in that thing of Crewe working. I mean, most football clubs do, but Crewe really work in cycles where they get a load of really good youth players come through. They keep hold of them. They do really well. Maybe get promoted, and then those players get picked off by for big money, go to other clubs, and then they don't have the next lot to come in to keep them going. At the minute, they're in that part of the cycle. So it could be one of those where it will take them another season or so to find the next set of youth teamers that will become stars for them. You're on mute now, Liam.
Flagging me off for being on mute.
The thing is, no one else has noticed that I've done that like 3 times so far. I've been talking and you guys carried on, and I'm like, why this? Oh, I'm on mute. Crewe are like the Peterborough of League Two. They create players. They're a selling club. But yeah, I think you're right. They don't create them fast enough. And yeah, them and AFC Wimbledon are probably going to be lower half of the table. But we don't know. Yeah, AFC Wimbledon are a bit of an unknown.
Exciting season.
This is it, isn't it? Is the League Two? It's so hard to predict what's going to happen. There are so many clubs in there. The fan base is at this point. It's great, isn't it? We all think that our teams are the best team in the league. So therefore, whenever somebody comes along,
I know we're not the best team in the league.
He's not even the best team in Hartlepool.
But you know, whenever you come across somebody on Twitter from another club, another fan base who wants to get involved and have a little bit of a chat, not looking at you, Liam, then you know. People jump down people's throats. It's all fun and games. But I don't know. I look at it and I just go, look, I think it could be a really exciting season this year. Yeah. Look at the amount of teams that are in there. I mean, look, if I was going to say that there was a team that I thought might not do what they're expected to do, then it could be Stockport, because they're expected to win the league or at least win promotion.
Yeah.
Now, if they don't do that, then that is a massive failure in the eyes of quite a lot of people, isn't it? So you look at it like that and you just go, well, it could be them that are the ones that struggle. But I don't mean that they'll struggle in terms of they'll be down the wrong end of the table. It just they won't get what they
not meeting expectations.
Yeah. But I love it. I think this season's going to be amazing. Look at all those big teams and those all that cash that's been thrown around willy-nilly. It's great. Love it.
It's gonna be good. I'm excited. Can't wait. So, guys, this is it. We've reached the end. We could have carried on, but unfortunately, for anyone who's listening, Ben's got to go for his tea.
I still need to make.
Grant's got to make his tea.
Sarah's actually eating it behind me right now, and she's being very quiet, so
she's
probably getting quite cross.
What's she made?
We've got homemade chips, and we've got what is it? Calamari.
Oh, right. Good. Well, we won't let that.
I still need to make mine, and I currently have a pregnant wife giving me the fucking death stare just now. I'm right there, so I'm just for anyone who's watching this and listening. It is currently 8 to 9 at night.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's not like 4 in the afternoon.
Guys, to wrap this up before I get fucking killed, thanks everyone for listening. See you next time. I'm not doing it all.
Yeah, we don't yet at all. Right. Yeah. Charles, Ben, thank you very much for coming on. Grant,
up the Swin.
Say the bit.
Give us a follow. Thanks to the sponsors. We have been the Lower League Look.